Today's case takes us to the quiet town of Tomball, Texas. It's a story that shook a close-knit community to its core. The brutal murder of an 82-year-old retired schoolteacher named Mildred Stallones, and a pursuit of justice that would take more than 2 decades.
Whispers rise in the dead of night. Secrets buried in the fading light. The truth's a storm, it will not stay. It crashes through like Judgment Day. Chains will break where shadows lie. The southern wind, it's a battle cry. Sisters of the South, hear the call. We rise together, we stand tall. SOS, the truth will ignite. Justice burns, a beacon of light.
Hey guys, I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Stephanie.
And we're
Sisters of the South.
Back with another true crime story for you today. But before we get started, we just want to remind everyone to please hit that like button if you like our video. Subscribe for more true crime content every week. And if you hit that little notification bell, it'll let you know when we're back with another story. Thanks for joining us, guys. Now let's get started.
Before Mildred Stallones was attached to a case file or a court docket, she was simply Miss Stallones to generations of children in Tomball. Mildred was a retired elementary school teacher who believed deeply in kindness, structure, and education. She lived in the community of Tomball for over 60 years.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so you know that she was well known and probably a really loved school teacher.
Oh yeah, she's that, I can just imagine, like the little old school teacher everyone loves. It's been there forever.
Yes.
To where your parents had her. And then you had her.
Maybe even your grandparents had her. I mean, it just depends on the generation. But yeah, and she seemed to be very well beloved here. And that's why it took such a toll on Tomball, Texas. She was known for her patience, especially with the kids who struggled the most. And I find that just so intriguing to me because it's a calling. To me, being a school teacher is a calling. That they see they see the vulnerability of the children, and they really want to reach out, and be there in their time of need, not just to teach them, but also maybe their home life is rough or whatever. And so it seems like she was real connected.
And it's hard to find a teacher like that. I mean, even
yes.
Back then, especially, because I remember teachers.
They were hardcore.
Oh, they didn't care.
No.
And now some of them do, but there are just some that are like, oh, no, just take it home and do it at home.
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't know what you're doing. And
right.
It's just hard to find that good school teacher.
Yeah. And it sounds like this was definitely her calling. And this is, her passion was the children and just the community in general. So former students would later describe her as the kind of teacher who noticed when you were having a hard day, the kind who stayed after class, not because she had to, but because she cared. And that's what I'm saying. Like, how sweet is that to be able to share yourself with children? And I'm sure she was tired at the end of the day and probably ready to go home because she has her own family, but she cared enough to share herself with these kids, especially the ones who needed it the most.
I love that.
Teaching wasn't just her job, it was her calling. Even after retirement, Mildred remained active in her community. She attended local events, kept up with former students, and stayed connected to the town she loved. And, we're real familiar with Tomball. They have German Fest. They have all kinds of community fun all the time. And that's a lot of the times when you go to these things, you see people you went to school with, your old school teachers, your old coaches, and so it's kind of like a family reunion.
Well, let's be honest. We grew up not too far from Tomball.
Yes.
And it was one of the towns. It's not like that anymore, but Like,
Yeah.
I would tell my mom, like, I'm not going to that grocery store because I see everyone, like, everyone I worked with
Yes.
or everyone I went to school with worked there.
Especially
They
the
all
day
hung
you
out
don't
there.
have makeup on and your hair looks like crap.
Girl, you go to the football game and it's like a reunion
Yes.
of all the players that have played. They're all on the fence. You see everyone. I mean,
Yes.
it is the epitome of
Yes.
Texas football
It is
and
so
what we do
funny.
here.
And not to mention, Tomball was our hugest rivalry.
Oh, they were.
Because we were raised in Magnolia. So even though we were in the town over, we still knew a lot of people and teachers and bus drivers and stuff from Tomball. So, I'm sure.
Tomball grew before I got to high school.
Oh, yeah,
so
for sure.
we weren't rivals with Tomball, but
We were.
I know y'all were. It was like
Yes.
a big thing.
It was a huge thing. And we would, the thing was, because Tomball was right next door on Friday and Saturday nights, you would get in your car because Magnolia had absolutely nothing at the time.
Until my senior year in high school.
Yeah, and we would ride into Tomball and commingle with the Tomball people.
Talk trash.
And talk trash about who had the best schools. They had red and white colors. We had maroon and white. So we would always trash talk the colors. And they were the Cougars. We were the Bulldogs. So we shit talk that. But it's a really close-knit community. And so even though she lived in Tomball and taught in Tomball, I'm sure the local communities around Tomball knew who she was.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I'm sure she extended her grace to outside of the Tomball community. So she was the kind of woman who waved at her neighbors, checked her mail at the same time every single day, and believed that people were mostly good. And with that belief, it showed just what kind of person Mildred was. At 82 years old, Mildred still valued her independence. And, we have a father who's in his late 70s, and you've got to admire someone who still wants that independence at that age. And she lived on her own, so it was very important to her. And it seems like she felt important to the community as well. Mm-hmm. So
I'm sure she had people check in on her because she
was
who she was, so she probably felt pretty safe anyway.
Absolutely. I mean, she knows everybody.
She knows everyone.
And I'm sure she knows the people that come in that are strangers, so to speak.
Oh, yeah, because those people always know the strange cars.
Oh, yeah. The small towns know the strange cars, newcomers, and usually they get down to the nitty-gritty on who these people are pretty fast because they'll ask around. So Mildred lived alone. She took pride in her home and insisted on doing things for herself as long as she could. She wasn't reckless, and she was trusting. Just like most of us, she believed that familiarity meant safety. And I agree with that. I mean, where we live, the stores, and you kind of know the routine of people, so you feel safe in that environment. For the most part,
we knew everyone in the neighborhood. We rode the bus with everyone. We were all friends for the most part. The store that we went to, we walked through a vacant lot to get to the store.
Yeah.
Come to find out years later, my closest friend, her dad and uncle owned the store.
Yeah.
So our dad remembers their dad, and
mm-hmm.
It's a small world.
It is,
and in
a
these,
small
it's
world.
even smaller.
Yeah, absolutely. And you take pride in that too.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I kind of miss that because we don't have that now.
Yes.
And
yeah, because
we live more in the city now, and it's like
true suburban.
You don't really. We're new to the neighborhood. We know our next door neighbor, but we don't know a lot of people, and we're trying to. But people kind of keep to themselves when you get a little further into the city.
Well, nowadays there's so many people that people tend to stay to themselves,
and they move
more.
So much.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
hard to get to know people.
That's true. Well, Mildred had 2 children and also had a strong bond with her family, especially her son Leighton. She had poured decades of love into raising her family the same way she poured herself into teaching, fully, consistently, and with an open heart. Those who knew her describe her as gentle, soft-spoken, and deeply moral. She believed in right and wrong. She believed in treating others the way you wanted to be treated. So that's just a little bit of who Mildred Stallones was.
And even though it's a little bit, it's a lot, right?
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It makes us realize what kind of person she was. And
Absolutely.
I love it. I already love her.
Yes, I do too.
So much.
I wish I would have been taught by her.
Oh, yeah.
That's what, because I can think of several teachers when I was in high school that had been there for generations. And typically those were the teachers that you wanted, as long as, I mean, they had a reputation. Some of them you didn't, but most of them, you wanted that sweet teacher.
Who
right?
cared?
And
Yes.
it sounds like
wasn't
that's who
too hard,
Mildred.
but I bet she could be hard too if you were doing wrong.
Oh,
But-
absolutely. Oh, I
Yes.
would imagine she wasn't a pushover. I mean, she
Oh, I'm
was a
sure.
teacher. I'm sure she knew when to give love and when to give discipline.
That's right.
That's what it sounds like with Mildred.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break and give a little shout out to our friends and favorite vendor over at SoFly. SoFly! And we got a little video.
Here
So
we
here
go. Hey guys, I wanted to come to you today about SoFly. SoFly is a family-owned business here in the Houston, Texas area, and they specialize in embroidery and engraving. So what they'll do is take your favorite accessories, such as a cap, a hoodie, a purse, a jacket, and they will specialize it to your needs. They have an array of different colors, and if you want your logo or your name or maybe even your initials, they'll put that on there for you. Also, they do engraving on things such as leather patches and also on carving boards. They do our merchandise. We know that you'll be happy, so try them at least once. But just to give you some idea of how badass they are, we're going to show you a video. So here we go.
All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed that video. Go check them out. Let them know we sent you, and enjoy their stuff if you purchase anything. But for now, back to our story.
Let's do it. So on August 10th, 1993, Mildred Stallones was found brutally murdered inside her home. Investigators quickly determined this was not a random act. About 100 yards behind Mildred's home was another house in which lived 4 Hispanic migrant workers. One of those workers was Alfredo Ramirez Rosas. Ramirez reportedly got very intoxicated. He walked next door to Mildred's house knowing that she was home alone because he had watched her coming and going alone. Ramirez broke into her house through the back door, breaking the latch and entering the house. And in this research that I did on this story, and we do a lot of research, so this research specifically reminded me not to do the same thing at the same time every day, because I'm a creature of habit and I'm comfortable in my routine. But sometimes you got to throw it off just a little bit because you never know who's watching you.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. They can be across the street. They can be next door. They can be behind you in this instance.
And you never know.
And you don't know. Predators are very sneaky. They're hunting you. They're watching you. And you don't even know.
Yeah.
And so it reminded me that, hey, routine is not always good. Now, my routine has changed since I've retired. So on any given day, I may be doing something different. But when I was working every single day, I got up and left the same time. I showed up at work the same time every day. It was very rare that I didn't show up like spot on every day. The thing was, at work, if Stephanie didn't call and didn't show up, then they would automatically think something was wrong with me because I was so regular on that routine. And we have to be cautious of that when we're doing daily routines like that. Just keep an eye.
Well, and that's what I was
on
going to
your
say. When you're in a
surroundings.
routine, you're just doing, right? You're not
Yeah.
paying attention to what's
No.
going on around you,
Mm-mm.
which is very important to do.
Yeah. And again, she's lived there for 60 years in her home.
She trusts everyone.
Yeah. And to be honest, where her home is located is very visible.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure she felt safe because of where her home was located and knowing her community.
Yeah.
You know, but we still have to be diligent in watching, you know, our surroundings. But it's unsure what his specific reason for breaking in was, but it was malicious. Mildred tried to fight Ramirez off with her canes, as evidenced by the many canes lying around the scene in which she was found. And that just devastates me. I mean, she was doing everything she could to stay alive and fight this guy off. And she's elderly, so, I mean, no matter what size this guy is, he's going to overtake her. right?
But she's fighting, you know, like
Yeah.
she's elderly and she's like, mm-mm,
Yeah, you're
I'm
not
gonna
coming
fight
in.
until I can't.
Yeah, and she just couldn't ward him
But it's
off.
heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. Well, police say Ramirez got angry that she tried to fight him. And I mean, excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry. She was supposed to like, oh, okay. Do what you
Right?
need to do.
Yeah.
You're here.
Beat me up. Do whatever you need to do to me. I'm yours. I
Yeah,
don't
no.
understand. And the only and again, I'm not a criminal, so I don't know. But maybe his thinking was when I attack this elderly, vulnerable lady, it's
She'll
going to
go
be
down
easy.
quick,
Yeah.
yeah.
She'll go down quick. It's going to be easy, and I can get in and out, and no one will ever know.
She's been a school teacher. She may be sweet, but I bet she was.
Well, this kind of tells you that she knew
like,
when to
I
turn.
don't back down, man.
Right. She knew when to change her hat and become
That's right. Quickly.
tough, right? Very quickly. Well, police say that Ramirez got angry that she tried to fight him off. He struck her in the face many times and sexually assaulted and strangled her. After Mildred died, Ramirez goes back to the house in which he was staying. Ron McGillen, who took over the case, stated that Ramirez told one of the guys that he was living with that he had just killed the lady next door. So obviously he was extremely intoxicated, because I can't even consider the mindset he might have been in to just freely go back home and go, "Hey, I just killed the lady next door." I mean, that's just
I
so
don't
weird to
know.
me.
It's not.
Unless they're all criminals, but
We
still.
know stories recently of people that are like, what? No big deal.
Yeah.
I killed the lady next door.
Yeah, nobody cares. But I mean, the mindset of someone like that.
I mean, it couldn't have been his first time, right?
Well, it makes you think.
How do you just do that and then just go tell someone, no matter how drunk you are? Because if you ended up doing it, it'd sober you up a little bit, right?
Well,
And you'd be
I
like,
would think.
oh my God, what did I just do?
Yeah, I would think that it would.
Not.
Oh,
It
well.
pissed me off. She fought back, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, after failing to make contact as usual, Mildred was found by her son, Leighton Stallones, who discovered her body in their home.
Oh, no.
Now, the evidence left behind told a clear story, but there was one major problem. Ramirez was nowhere to be found. In an attempt to cover his tracks, Ramirez took off his clothes that were drenched in blood and stashed them under the house. He gathered his few necessary possessions and fled to Mexico, disappearing across the border before authorities could arrest him. The bloody clothing found under Ramirez's home contained Mildred's DNA, and thank God for DNA.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God. I mean, obviously, you find bloody clothes under a house next door to the lady who was just
Yeah,
murdered.
what are the odds that it's not hers, right?
Right. But thank God that they took the DNA and they kept it.
Yeah.
You know. Now, let's talk a little bit about Alfredo Ramirez Rosas. Based on available public reporting, there is no documented credible information indicating whether Alfred Ramirez was ever married, divorced, or in a long-term relationship prior to 1993. Here's what the record does tell us about him, though. Ramirez was living as a single man in a house with several other migrant workers when he committed the crime in 1993. His roommates reported that he bragged about the murder before fleeing to Mexico. And this tells me a lot about this guy's character.
Well, and he, again, bragged.
Yes, bragging.
He wasn't like, oh my God, I just killed the lady next door. What was I doing?
Yeah, he's bragging.
He's proud.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to fly under the radar, or he wasn't ashamed and sorry for what he did. He's bragging, you know, and he has a plan to get out. So he was 23 at the time of the crime and fled immediately afterwards, ultimately spending more than 2 decades as a fugitive in Mexico. Ramirez was described as the bully of the house. He was violent and he was used to getting what he wanted, and his roommates described him as a very mean drunk. So there you go. Obviously, the guy was an alcoholic, sounds like to me. And so, you know these people who get a little tipsy or whatever, and they're the friendly people. But then we all know, usually one sticks out, that when they drink, they get extremely mean and violent.
Yeah.
And this guy was the epitome of that. So he probably bullied all of his roommates. That's probably why he was bragging. He wanted them to know, don't mess with me.
Yeah, fear me.
Yeah, this is what I could do to you. Right?
Although you're talking about a little old lady versus,
I know. You know,
but you know those people.
and the bad part is no one deserves it. But when you're in your 80s and you've lived your whole life living such a great, just living a great experience with the community, and and then someone just takes them out like that, it's just horrible to think.
Well, yeah, she deserved to live out her life
Yeah, I mean, she set
and
so
die in a
many.
peaceful way.
Yeah, she
right?
set so many good examples, and then the community needed her.
Yeah.
And he just came in like a thief in the night and just took her life. And she meant so much more than that, obviously, to her family and to the community. So Tomball is a small town. In 1993, the population was 6,370 people. Today, the population in 2026 is around 15,000.
Only I'm surprised.
Yeah, I know. I am too. Most people in Tomball back then thought stuff like this only happened in the city of Houston. Tomball is the kind of place where people didn't lock their doors. And so after this happened, of course, everybody's locking their doors. They're probably bolt locking their doors.
Exactly.
Right?
And windows.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, just freaking out.
Right. Especially because this guy hasn't been caught.
Well, and I remember this story
Mhm.
very well. Our mom talking about it.
Yes.
And we knew the house,
Yes.
and
It's a very common house. If you're familiar with Tomball or anything, a lot of people drive by this home. Very nicely kept, and always real nice. And it's directly next to a railroad track. I mean, literally
right up next to it.
10 steps and you're on the railroad tracks. So, but it was always such a beautiful little bungalow home, probably built in the 30s.
Very cute.
Very
cute home. Yeah.
And we'll put a picture up of it. It's extremely cute. So, of course, an elderly woman murdered by someone living right next door is going to leave the community shaken and afraid. And for Mildred's family, especially her son Leighton, the nightmare was just only beginning. And I can't even imagine her son walks in after not being able to reach his mom and finds her like this.
It would have been devastating had she passed in her sleep, but
knowing
that I can't imagine.
Knowing what occurred and not knowing how she suffered leading up to it, I'm sure was devastating to her family. And I'm sure there's many thoughts that's run through their heads through the years. And when you have a family member that this happens to, or even if you have a family member that passes of, let's say, cancer or some kind of sickness, you don't want to remember them based on their sickness or even the crime that occurred to them.
Yeah.
But you have to, because it's trauma-based, you have to live through that. And there's so many things you question.
And it takes time.
It does. And I could venture to say I would get really angry.
Oh, I would be angry. Yeah, I know I would.
Yeah, I would be so angry, wanting to find that person myself personally. Like, screw the cops. I'll find them. I'll take care of them. I'm getting justice for my mother is what I think I would feel
at
that point. So Leighton refused to let his mother be forgotten. For years, even decades, he fought for her. He wrote letters. He contacted law enforcement. He reached out to prosecutors, politicians, and even officials at the highest levels of government. He would not let this case go cold.
Good for him.
Yeah. So behind the scenes, Tomball Police and the Harris County District Attorney's Office never stopped working on the case either. And that's good to know, because sometimes these smaller towns, because they're not well versed in murder cases, they just kind of let the stuff go by the wayside and the case goes cold and they just quit working it. But during the investigation, Ramirez wasn't the only suspect, though. Although it was apparent he did commit the crime, the Tomball police needed to eliminate any other options. And I think that's the smartest decision they made in this case.
Yeah.
Because at this point, they probably know he's fled back to Mexico. In the meantime, behind the scenes, they're just eliminating everybody that it could have possibly been. So if they ever get him extradited back to Texas, then they have a solid case to move forward and not play around. And I just think being proactive in this situation was really awesome of the Tomball Police Department. I really do. So the boxcar killer was a serial killer in Texas at the same time that would ride on boxcars and get off at various stops to raid houses and kill the people if they were home. Because Mildred's house was right next to the railroad tracks, the boxcar killer had to be officially ruled out as a suspect. And absolutely, we all knew about the boxcar killer.
Yes.
And it wasn't just in the Texas area that this happened. It was all over the United States. And we've done other cases that the boxcar killer has been brought up in. So I think that was super smart because she's right next to a railroad track.
Well, and the same railroad track that was close to our house.
Yeah, the down the road. Yeah, it's the exact same one. And
So everyone knew about
the
the
boxcar
boxcar killer.
Yeah. And any defense attorney that's going to come up and try to defend him, that's probably the number one thing they're going to bring up. Well, how do you know it's not the boxcar killer? After all the evidence was gathered and it was determined that Ramirez was indeed the person who killed Mildred, it was submitted to the Houston Crime Lab and then sent to the FBI in Virginia. In 2013, more than 20 years after Mildred's murder, Mexican authorities captured Alfredo Ramirez Rosas. Finally, 20 years. So this guy went on about his business, doing whatever he's doing in Mexico. And who knows? He probably came back and forth undercover.
Of course.
To Texas or somewhere in America. We don't know. But I'm sure he lived his life freely after causing such chaos in other people's lives,
Oh, I'm sure.
And he probably thought,
chaos everywhere.
Everybody's forgotten about me. I'm good, right?
Oh, yeah.
So extradition took years. Mexico agreed to send him back to the United States, but only under one condition. He could not face the death penalty. Now, that really ticks me off because you would rather him be over in Mexico after he murdered someone here and then say, well, we'll only extradite him because everybody knows Texas has a death penalty, only if you don't give him the death penalty, which he absolutely 100% deserved. Number one.
Oh, yeah.
That should have been number one, death penalty. All negotiations off the table, death penalty. But Mexico didn't agree with that, so that's the only way we could get him back. And you don't know how many people
he killed over there.
Exactly.
Because he's not going to stop. He was 23 years old. He's going to cause chaos everywhere he goes. Yes. Clearly he was.
Well, I'm going to be honest. What pisses me off about this is I don't want to pay to keep him alive here in Texas.
Oh, exactly.
After the crime that he committed. Right? I don't. I don't even like that. But
well,
Texas,
you have to pay too long on with the death penalty anyway.
But Texas thought it was important to give Mildred her justice and her family some sort of justice instead of just letting this guy keep roaming freely. Right? So I get that. But still, come on, Mexico. What are you thinking? I know.
What do you do at that point? Either let him go and be in Mexico, and he's going to make it back over here anyway.
And he came to our country illegally at this point, and he's killed somebody, probably more than one. I don't know.
It was too easy for him.
Allegedly. What do I know? But
and that's my belief. Everyone can have their own opinions, but that's my opinion. Is it was too easy for him, and he bragged. So
yeah. And so then, they just took that off the table. But in order to get justice, we do what we got to do over here. So in 2016, Ramirez was finally extradited back to Texas to face justice. In 2018, Alfredo Ramirez pleaded guilty. I mean, they had too much on this guy. And I'm glad that at least he wasn't egotistical enough to plead not guilty.
He's proud.
He wants to take full responsibility because, listen, it was too easy for him, right, at this point. He was sentenced to an effective 210-year sentence, 70 years each on multiple charges, and would be housed in the Texas penal system. But news reports and public records do not specify the exact Texas Department of Criminal Justice, where he's incarcerated. And I looked, and I could not find where he's at.
That's interesting. I wonder why.
Typically, you can locate just by Googling.
Yeah, they'll tell you where anyone is.
But this guy is not popping up anywhere. And so it kind of almost made me think, is this guy really in prison here in Texas? Or even in the United States, anywhere, because you can find anywhere, wherever they're housed in the United States, you can usually find them. So that was kind of concerning to me, but they're saying he's in prison, so I'll take my research at its word. So after more than 2 decades, justice was finally served. It didn't erase the pain and it didn't bring Mildred back, but it brought justice to her name. And I think that's very important because there's so many cases that go unsolved and nothing's ever done. Now, in the true crime community here recently, there's been a lot of people being brought to justice because of DNA.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Like the Killing Fields killer, he's just been arrested. Finally, after decades of him causing chaos and hiding, flying under the radar. And so there's just been the Lover's Lane case, for instance. So looks like southern part of Texas, at least, they're really taking that DNA. I think we've got a new generation of investigators who's really taken the DNA and they're pushing it forward to get old cases solved. And I think it's awesome to see that. So, as we close out today's story, we want to take a moment to honor Mildred Stallones, not for the violence that took her life, but for the kindness, the strength, and the love that defined it. Her story reminds us that justice doesn't always come quickly, but it is still worth fighting for. And I'm sure if you talked to her son, he would tell you the same thing. It doesn't matter how long it took.
It happened.
We had to fight to get justice for my mother and her name and for the community, actually, as well. There's a responsibility to get justice for the community as well because it still affects people today. This is a case that people talk about outside of Tomball. No one's forgotten it. So, it was crucial that something be done. And I'm so proud of the Tomball police and the investigators that came in that they didn't stop until justice was served.
Absolutely.
It reminds us that families who refuse to give up can make the impossible happen, and that's on anything that we do. Never give up, no matter what it is. Well, guys, take care of each other.
Yes.
And keep an eye on everything. And if something doesn't look right, raise a red flag. Say something. If you see something, say something. And let's take care of each other. So we're going to close out for today. But in the meantime, please remember to see the good and stay imperfectly perfect.
Bye, guys.
God bless.
Thank you.